yours, or restore your dead to life.
But perhaps I can give you justice in the name of our king.
Let's go. Welcome into another episode of the MVP Fantasy Football and Sports Podcast. My name is Tyler Johnson, and with me is allergy-filled Ryan Elke. He is ready to go. Just downloaded his next new game, his baseball franchise. If Ryan wasn't
out of the park baseball,
a true fan of just simulator baseball, he just got the new thing. Tell me a little bit about the game, Ryan.
This game is made for me. I've been waiting for this my whole life.
Oh my god!
I don't even think you play games in this game. It's just managing your team, and it's realistic as hell. So, anybody out there that loves or wants to be a GM someday, it's my dream. It's never gonna happen, but hey, I can dream. This game lets me do that, so I'm excited.
Good review. He's gonna start playing today.
I haven't played it yet, so I can't give the best review, but all the reviews I've read.
Yeah,
pretty damn good.
I know that I just came in before we started this podcast. I was only able to mow my front lawn just because of how tall my grass has gotten. I literally mowed it 2 weeks ago, and I'm like, okay, it looks good. It's rained pretty much the last 2 weeks. I'm cutting through literally the rainforest. I feel like I should have a machete in my hand, just going through my front lawn because my lawnmower would like die.
Your mower shut down?
Dude, I jacked the mower up to as high as it goes, and I'm like literally trimming the tips of the grass.
Oh, you'll be back out there in 2 days.
Oh my god. So yeah, it died I think still twice. So that's just saying how tall my grass was. And no, not fun. So what I was wondering, Ryan, if you could get rid of one thing, you could lawnmower, if you could get rid of washing the dishes, or you could get rid of doing the laundry.
As a
maid.
House?
Yeah, let's say you have a maid for one of these three. Which one would you pick? I already know what I would pick.
Any yard work.
Okay, you're getting rid of the yard work?
I hate it.
Okay.
We got to get up on the roof of the garage and the house and clean out the gutters and all that. It's just not fun, man. And then I guess cutting the grass, it's just annoying as hell. Literally, you have to do it a couple times a week, and
yeah. And
I'll probably go with that.
The only thing that's good about cutting the grass, and a lot of these you can just toss in headphones and like just listen to music or podcasts. That's usually what I do. I think I'd never want to do laundry. I know like right now, my fiance, she does laundry and I don't even have to touch it already. So, and I know how bad it is. So I'm just glad that she does it on a whim, and I take care of like the dishes and mowing the lawn. I'm okay with that because folding's the worst. Putting away is the worst.
See, I do the same thing as you, except most of the time she'll do the folding and putting away, but sometimes she'll bust out like all the buckets of laundry on the weekend on a Saturday, and like, all right, help me.
It's like a mountain.
Can't even say no. You want me? I'm just gonna run away. No.
So for this episode, we have a great episode. It's going to be pretty short. This will be one of the shorter ones, only because we're doing our top 10 tight end rankings, and then we also have a question and answer at the very end. So just so everybody knows, we're going to have a short one. I wanted to kind of pull in what we say at the end of the episode till now. Make sure if you're listening on any sort of iTunes, you're on YouTube, or you're just listening on the main website, just to go in, subscribe, leave a comment. It's going to help us tremendously. We're just starting out. Anyone that's listening, just make sure you go in there and you like it. Kind of share it, spread it. Make sure that people are listening in. We definitely want to be helping out as soon as fantasy football starts coming in. And then also if people have questions about just general sports questions that we can answer, or they kind of want someone to talk about. Right now, if you wanted to talk to me about Game of Thrones, I would definitely have a heated conversation about how bad that show just turned into. So,
I just thought, I've not seen the show, but everyone that has talked about it absolutely hated it. So I've been told, hey Ryan, I know you wanted to watch Game of Thrones, but literally if I could go back and not watch it, I would not watch it. I wouldn't have started the series. That's how bad it was. Like, legit.
That's what I'm telling people. I'm like, don't waste your time anymore. You're gonna love the first
just a couple weeks ago. Everyone's, it's the best show ever. You have to see it. Blah blah. I'm like, all right, cool. You know what? I do want to see it. And now I've had a couple people say it's not even worth watching. I'm like, what? You're telling me they ruined the franchise of that in one season?
Yeah, it's like 8 to 10 years people have been watching, and 6 episodes last season, 8, literally just ruined the entire thing for me.
But how could they? I have no idea. I don't even know what happened. I mean, they kind of gave me a brief summary of some simple stuff, and
yeah,
I can't really like make judgment because I don't know any of these people or what's what. But by the sounds of it, how the hell could they? How could they do that?
How could you screw up? It's just bad writing. And
I heard HBO offered them like double the amount of money they're getting paid right now to keep the series going, and they said no. So
what I heard
that right there kind of showed like they really didn't care anymore. And I guess by this final season, how everyone's talking about it, maybe that's true.
Yeah. So I'll use the intro one more time. It's an excellent intro for our episode for the last Game of Thrones that just happened to remind us of the good times of the show. But I don't know. I'm glad it's done now and that I don't have to worry about being disappointed. So let's get into mine and Ryan's, just the main part of the show. There was no new news that we really wanted to touch on. Nothing that was groundbreaking for fantasy.
I got one, actually. One. Well, it's not fantasy. You're right. Yeah, nothing groundbreaking for fantasy wise. But Gerald McCoy, the D tackle from the Buccaneers, he was actually released. I think it was because of contract situations that he didn't want to. I don't know if it was because of pay cut or he didn't want to agree with a new extension or what. But he's literally a dominant D tackle. So I could see him. He's going to be coveted, that's for sure.
And I remember you were talking about Amari Cooper was.
Oh yeah, they had contract like in talks about a new contract, and I guess that's stalled. Probably because he wants obviously top dollar.
That's what I'm thinking.
And when they got him for like one more year to like prove it to us, and then we'll do that. So I think that's what they're waiting for.
We already knew when they signed him too that Cooper was going to want a max deal pretty much by the time he was coming up.
He's going to definitely want top of the market.
Yeah. So moving into the very exciting tight end market, top 10 tight ends, it gets pretty wishy-washy when you get to like, I would say 8, even before that, maybe like 5 to 15. It could be pretty much anybody.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
And
except for my boy Hawkinson, he should be there.
Yeah, we'll touch on him at the end. Ryan's got some special
at
love
the
for
end. Thanks.
Yeah.
The very end, right?
He's number 1. Don't worry. What team's he on? Detroit. Okay, put him at 1. He's got a great quarterback throwing to him. No options for wide receiver there.
Okay, he's a good quarterback, man. Don't dog my boy Matt.
The Matty Ice. So the number 1. Travis Kelce. Of course, Kelce's going to be number 1. Even losing Tyreek Hill, projected to lose Tyreek Hill, I don't see Travis Kelce going anywhere except number 1, probably for the next few seasons. There's no tight end that's ever going to pass him. And Zach Ertz is good. He's going to be a great tight end for fantasy, but he can't catch up to the amount of air yards and the targets Kelce's getting. So
over a span of a few years, I don't think Ertz could be there.
No,
I mean, I think one season, I think maybe Ertz could pass him in one season, but I think over like 3-4 years, Kelce's the guy.
Yeah, you're talking about a guy that
like, he could have a lucky season. Like it's not even a lucky season. Ertz is a very good tight end. So I don't want to dog on him, but they're pretty comparable. But Kelce's going to be the top dog on that.
Yeah, and Kelce with Smith even in like 14 and 15, he had 800 yards, close to 900 yards. And then you go 2016, 17, 18, he's 1,000, 1,100, and 1,300 yards. I mean, he's just
Seems
going
like
up.
He's been getting better every year, yeah.
Exactly, and having Mahomes over there, he's only going to stay, I'm pretty sure, at the 100 reception mark, which is fantastic. It's like having another wide receiver on your team. It's like a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 1. So having Kelce is that one up, but you're going to have to pay the premium if you want to go with Kelce. You're paying, let me see where he's going. I'm probably thinking the second.
I'm guessing late second, I'm guessing third.
Yeah, it's early second. So
early second,
early to mid second round. He's going. He's almost at the Gronkowski price tag.
Oh man.
So I mean, to all the people out there, for our strategy, and we can kind of go over it real quick. Our strategy for tight end is, if you're not going to get a deal on either Kelce, Ertz, or maybe Kittle, it's almost best to just punt to like the later rounds and get your tight end around, like, if you're not taking them in the 6th or 7th round, which is kind of where the middle tier is going, then you're going to be waiting until probably like the 13th, 12th, right around.
I'll be looking at the 4 through 10 guys, and like probably starting around 6. I'll give a look, see what kind of value's there. Other than that, once those guys, because usually it's a run of tight ends. Once someone takes one of those,
yeah, it always is
those guys, and everyone takes them, and that's where I'm just going to go a different direction. I'm just going to go running back or wide receiver. Because once round 10 comes, I'll go for that sleeper guy. Like I hit on Evan Ingram 2 years ago. Last year, I hit on Kittle because he was going real late because of that knee injury he had.
Yeah, usually when you're going through your drafts, you always have those people that want to fill out their team first, and then that's where usually tight ends go. Because
by the way, that's terrible fantasy. Do not fill your teams out. Do not. That's horrible. If you want to take, if your roster has 4 running backs, 4 wide receivers on it, you're not doing it wrong. You're not. You'll be fine. Like, don't be that guy that by the end of round 10 has a quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 receivers, flex, a kicker, and a defense. Like that's so bad. Don't be that guy.
And you see those guys that are drafting their tight end after like round 5 because they already got their 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and then all of a sudden they're drafting their tight end thinking they need that tight end right there. And that's why they all go right around, like you're looking at the draft position, right around the 6th round, 6th and 7th is where all those middle tier go. Because I guarantee you that's where people are like, okay, I have my 3 wide receivers, my 2 running backs. Now I'm going to draft my tight end. And it's just terrible. And it's good for
us. Unless there's major value there, go ahead. But yeah, it's good for everybody else because you're just taking a player that no one else is going to take right there.
Yeah, say you're sitting there and you're at the end of like the sixth round. All of a sudden, like 3 or 4 people in front of you take tight ends. You're sitting there with whatever wide receiver running back just dropped to you. So you're getting a deal on a running back or wide receiver right there because of the amount of tight ends that just got swiped off the board. And that's good because take a tight end late, like we said, from round 6 all the way to your end of your round 20. I mean, you can get Ryan's boy TJ. He's going round 11. So,
well, that's where I'll be getting him.
Yeah, you'll probably get him at like. You'll probably have to draft him at like 10 because I'll grab him at 10.
Nah,
just the spite.
That's bullshit, man. You would. People do that to me, man.
That's a Tony snag right there. That's a Tony snag.
Yeah, somebody will probably snag him from me. Well, then I'll go in a different direction, I guess.
All right, well, let's switch back to number 2. It's obvious. It's Zach Ertz. Talk about a guy that is getting the receptions. He had about 10 more receptions than Kelsey last year, and he's just a machine. He's that kind of quick cut, getting a lot of targets. And with Wentz as the only quarterback there, I see him just having another great year. He's a safe pick. He's also going, let me check here. He's also going, so he's in the beginning of the 3rd. So Kelsey beginning of 2nd, Ertz beginning of 3rd. So you're getting a 1-round discount to draft Ertz, and I think that's a good discount. I'd rather take Ertz over Kelsey if I was forced to, but
where'd you say Ertz was going?
He's beginning of the 3rd. Way too early for a tight end. So
yeah, it's a steep price. I mean, they're gonna produce, so maybe it's not a steep price. I mean, they're probably ranked. Like, if that's where they're going, that's where they're going. It's not a terrible thing. It's just not in my strategy.
Yeah, and you're talking about the Eagles that...
We're not saying it's a bad pick. I don't want to say that. It's not a bad pick because Gronkowski was going in the 1st round for years, and he was getting taken there every year.
Yeah, and you just gotta...
I'm saying it's a bad pick. It's just, I mean, for me personally, my strategy, for me, it's a bad pick, I think. But I mean, he's not a bad pick in general.
Yeah, you're getting a number 1 at the tight end position when there's a steep drop off after pretty much the first 2 guys, if not the first 3 guys, and then you're kind of hoping for the matchups, hoping for a big game, but you also have that risk when you draft a Kelsey or Ertz and possibly Kittle, you kind of mitigate the risk by taking him at a premium price. So, and Ertz on the team leads in targets, leads in receptions, leads in yards. And you don't really have many wide receivers there that are going to produce. They just got Deshaun Jackson. They got Alshon Jeffrey. Aguilar's still there. So it's just a bunch of wide receivers that are going to be around that 600 to 800 yards.
They
still
drafted another running back too. Then they have a whole bunch of guys on offense. It's just they need a couple footballs over there, honestly.
Yeah. So Ertz, great pickup. He's gonna be a great tight end. Moving on to our number 3, George Kittle. Talk about a guy that just popped onto the scene. He was kind of a waiver wire pickup in most leagues, right around that early to mid.
It's only because he was hurt, though. Literally, that's literally the only reason, because of that injury. But one league I did get him on the free agent wire after the draft, so that helped. I also drafted him in a couple.
And talk about close to 1,400 yards on 88 receptions. Talk about air yards, because you look at 88 receptions and almost 1,400 yards, and then you go over to Ertz, 116 receptions, literally 36 more receptions, and he had almost 1,200 yards. So close to 200 yards less, but then he had 36 more receptions. So talk about a PPR. That's why Ertz, he's just getting a point for each of those receptions, and that's where you get that one up on Kittle. But it's fairly even. I forget what their rankings were points wise at the end of the season, but it had to have been pretty close.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I'm not gonna. I don't know. I won't throw anything out there unless I have concrete evidence. But I know they're all close.
But when you're comparing the two as well, I mean, who else is there for a wide receiver? Is it Pettis next to Kittle?
There.
I don't know. I don't know
Pettis
who else. Goodwin's not anything to write home about.
Special, honestly, deep threat guy.
And Garoppolo, we haven't seen Garoppolo play a pretty solid game yet. I mean, he's a good quarterback at the end of the season 2 years ago, and I hope to see him more this upcoming year with Kittle. We don't know how that's going to be. That's kind of an up-in-the-air thing, but you would expect it to be a better quarterback play, and Kittle already had a fantastic season. Kittle could be a surprise. And looking at where he's going, Kittle, he's at the about mid-third round. So, I mean, that's a hefty price for someone that's...
Yeah, with a new quarterback. Like, not a new quarterback, but what's the rapport with them two? You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
It could be kind of dicey. It might be a little bit of a question mark. And honestly, a tight end with a little bit of a question mark in the third round, that's tough. His talent's not questionable. It's just you never know. Maybe Garoppolo and him don't click, and then...
Yeah. And then you have the opposite. Maybe they do click, and you got
for
yourself
sure.
another Kelsey.
He could be better. He could finish 1-2. You know, I mean, 1, 2, or 3.
So
there's the flip side for sure.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. And as the season gets closer and closer, we get a little bit more of these connections through the off season going into the preseason. So we'll keep an eye on a lot of these tight ends. Going to number 4. This is the first time me and Ryan differed on our rankings. So our consensus is going to be O.J. Howard. Talk about an athletic tight end that you love to see be the only tight end on the field and healthy.
He's a beast. He's a beast.
Cameron Brate was really good 2 years ago, and he's kind of a threat, but OJ is just such a freak when it comes to his athleticism that I just see OJ Howard being very good, especially this year. You have Jameis Winston as the starting quarterback throughout the entire season. And you just lost your deep threat with Jackson. You have Evans, of course, and Godwin. But then I think OJ turns into that kind of third wide receiver, possibly sharing with Godwin. I see him getting a lot of looks. So
Howard's another guy he could definitely if he were to finish number 1, I wouldn't be like crazy surprised. I would be surprised, but not like, oh my god, that came out of nowhere. He's just that talented.
Yeah.
But with the weaponry around him, that's gonna be hard for him to finish as number 1.
Yeah, and OJ's going at the beginning of the 6th round right now.
Okay, see now that's more doable right there. I could draft him with that.
I mean, you're talking about my 4th ranked tight end, and I can get him at the beginning of the 6th round, where pretty much everyone else is going. I'd take Howard over a lot of guys. So that might be a time where I take a look at tight end, and I take a look at OJ. So moving on to then our consensus number 5, it's going to be Evan Ingram. Let me know why you're excited about Evan Ingram, Ryan. Actually, you have him lower than I do, but
okay, I mean, I'm still excited about him. So here's what it is. So last year he didn't do that well. He was injured. Odell was there. If he plays like he did his rookie season, I want him. Like that, he was the only target though there, and he dominated his rookie year. And he was a nice find. If anyone drafted him, you're getting him past the 12th round for sure in every league, if not on the wire. So you capitalized on that. I know I did. And so if he plays like that, he has a lot of potential. He's really fast. He's like I call him. I don't call him like a tight end, even though he's listed as a tight end. He's more of a slot receiver, which is good to have in fantasy football. That's what you want. So.
Yeah, and they just lost Odell, but then they picked up Golden Tate. So Golden Tate's kind of that slot receiver.
Gonna get a lot. He's going to get a lot of numbers. Everyone's going to be sleeping on him, I feel. Yeah,
I mean, he got paid. He got paid for a reason, and Eli probably can only throw 10 yards now.
So yeah, that's why Barkley's going to be even better.
Barkley's going to be eating.
Yeah, he is.
So Evan Ingram, the question mark is the quarterback play, missing that big threat that's going to peel defenders away. I'm not sure. Evan Ingram's kind of a toss-up again. It's hard to say with Eli getting a little bit older, Jones maybe being the quarterback during the season. Giants are probably not going to be that good of a team.
And no, definitely not.
And you might just have another Evan Ingram season like you did last year and kind of just be humming and hawing about it. I have him ranked high. I might want to move him down after I talk about him more because I'm not as excited about Evan Ingram as I am with a few other people that are on this list. So I like where Ryan's kind of got him at number 7. And I also want Ryan to tell me about this number 6 that we have. He has him at 4, and I have him at 8. We're talking about the mysterious Hunter Henry. What do you think about Hunter Henry?
I like him a lot. Philip Rivers loves his tight ends. And how long? Antonio Gates has got to be gone. Is this guy gone yet? Like there's no reason for him to be out there. He's just taking reps from my boy. Like Henry's the guy. If you're not taking Henry, take T.J. Hawkinson. I'm really high on Hawkinson. I know a lot of people will laugh at it. On my rankings, I have him at 9. Tyler laughed at that. Just keep an eye on the name. Remember the name. I just feel he's going to be that guy. He's going to be the guy to have at tight end. Like, he'll be really sneaky. So I'm going to target him late in the draft. But I'm really high on Hunter Henry. And, Tyler, if you could tell me where he is going in drafts right now.
Yeah, awesome. I'd actually be curious because he had no stats last year. Yep. Hunter Henry is end of the 6th round right now.
Dang, man. See, that might be tough. I wanted to get him as like a value. Now, if he slips to like round 8, which is very possible in any drafts, I'm probably taking him.
Okay.
And then later in the draft, like I'll back him up with Hawkinson, and hopefully one of them hit. Because Hawkinson
take a chance on him.
What, 12th round, 13th round, maybe later.
Yeah, 11. He's at 11 right now.
Okay.
11.
So I could see him falling a few rounds, and maybe I don't want to take 2 tight ends, but if I'm going to take 2 like they're not guaranteed hits, maybe it's smart to do that, and then hopefully early season one of them breaks out so you can trade or release the other one.
Yeah, and you're looking at Hunter Henry, his freshman and sophomore season, played 10 games, 13 games. He hovers right around the 500 to 600 yards in those games with 9 yards a target. He's a good tight end, and I guess it's someone that we haven't seen since for a whole season.
Everyone's forgot about him, though. That's the thing.
You forget about him. He's got a good quarterback throwing to him, and I guess we'll have to wait and see how he progresses in the preseason, how they use him, and then that'll make for a better idea of where we're going to draft him at. So Hunter Henry, got him at 6. I kind of like that, just average, and then we'll keep an eye on him. Moving on to our 7. Eric Ebron. Eric Touchdown Ebron. Talk about a guy that his touchdown to reception average is absolutely insane. And how many touchdowns did he end with? 13 touchdowns.
A whole bunch. And that's what helped him be fantasy relevant, because without them touchdowns, he's mediocre at best, I feel.
He would have been a nobody pretty much. He had 66 receptions on 700 yards. I could see him maybe at like 4 touchdowns as like a normal tight end, and you're kind of down in the range of like Njoku. So Ebron, I don't know, maybe he can continue to get those type of red zone targets, even though they just signed a big body wide receiver. I'm blanking on who they just drafted, but he'll also.
They got from Carolina.
Funches?
Yeah, Funches. They signed Funches, so he's a red zone guy. He could take some away.
So Ebron, some people have him high, some people have him extremely low.
I'm probably staying away from. I don't know. It's hard to say. Like I said, it depends on where he goes. But if he falls to, where's he going?
You're looking at you're looking at Ebron at the end of the 5th.
What?
Yeah, people are riding high. They're riding dirty on Ebron.
Hope it stays that way.
Holy cow! Yeah, someone take Ebron.
I'm not taking him. No, sir.
So I guess we'll take a look at Eric Ebron as the preseason comes in. I guess I could say that for everybody. As the preseason gets closer, there's a lot of people on here that tight ends are just such a toss-up. So moving on to another that fits that mold perfectly, number 8, Jared Cook. And Jared Cook is kind of the hype, getting traded over to New Orleans after a pretty good season, a number 1, like a top tight end season for the Raiders. So him in New Orleans, I know he's been testing the waters everywhere. He's been in Green Bay, been in St. Louis. So what do you think, Ryan?
I like it. I mean, who's throwing him the ball? Drew Brees.
Exactly.
And he's like, he hasn't used tight ends as of late. I mean, he had Ben Watson, but
yeah, and Watson really
wasn't anything special. But he had a couple good games. Now, Drew Brees with an athletic tight end. I mean, you got to think of when he had Jimmy Graham. Now, I'm not comparing Jimmy Graham and Jared Cook here. Like, that's I mean, that's not who Jared Cook is, but he's athletic. Yeah. So I could see him.
He's more athletic than Watson.
Yeah. For sure. Like, that's not even a question. I feel Jared Cook has potential to finish. He could have a pretty big year. And I don't have it in front of me where all these guys are supposedly going. So this is another guy. I'm going to ask you where he's going.
Jared Cook's going at the beginning of the 7th round. And
see, now that's
okay
realistic. That's realistic. I'm going to put his name in green right now, and it's going to be a guy I'm going to have my eye on for the 7th round. And if he does fall, I'll definitely be on him. If he's there in the 8th round and I need a tight end, I'm probably taking Jared Cook just because the upside is there, and I feel like his floor is still going to be pretty good.
Yeah, I could agree with that. And you look at New Orleans.
Not many options on the receiving side of that ball, though. You got Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara. Like, who else? Traquan Smith.
That's what I was just about to say. Their wide receiver core, they didn't add anybody.
Drew Brees, they're trying to make it to the Super Bowl, man. Like, they got screwed last year. Mm-hmm. The year before that, they got very unlucky with that horrible play call that worked out with Diggs taken to the house and terrible tackling. So that's 2 years in a row where just fluky stuff happened to them. And it's a veteran presence, and I feel like Drew Brees is nearing the end of his career, so why wouldn't he trust him? You know what I mean? So it's just a guy to keep an eye on. I could actually see his draft stock rising just because I think there's going to be a lot of good things coming out of camp about his name, and that's just going to jump him up probably a whole round.
Yeah, they're going to talk highly of him. He's pretty much the only tight end there that's worth taking a look at, so it makes him more desirable as a tight end out of New Orleans, going all the way in close to the 8th round. So 7th, 8th round, I would be very happy with taking Jared Cook just because the upside's there. You want an upside guy, and when you take a look around, it's like I look at like Evan Ingram, possible upside, but not as much as Jared Cook. I don't know. I don't think so. And look at guys like David Njoku and Vance McDonald. I don't know. So let's get on to Vance McDonald at number 9. And I guess talking about Vance McDonald being on another high-powered offense, he gets the looks.
Just another veteran presence, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, Roethlisberger's going to go to him.
And they ride with their tight ends, especially if you're missing Antonio Brown.
I just want to see him stiff arm people like every game. That would be pretty cool.
He was the third best wide receiver on the team after Brown and Juju. And with Brown gone and all those targets vacated, I mean, you can see some going to Connor, see some going to McDonald, and then whoever comes up as the number 2 wide receiver. But I don't know. I see a bump in McDonald. He might be something that I would love to target. Let me see where he's going. He's going in the end of the 7th round.
Okay, another not terrible.
And I could see him even being pushed to like 8 or 9 on even back to 10 on good drafts. Because when you're drafting with people that actually know what they're doing, all these numbers just drop because people aren't drafting these tight ends anywhere close to 6 through 10. I'm pretty sure everyone goes past 10 pretty much. So Vance McDonald, great quarterback, throwing him the ball. Just got
it's a guy to keep an eye on again. I mean, I just feel he could be a value tight end.
Yep. So keep your eye on him, number 9, and then we're going into our number 10. Ryan doesn't have him on his top 10, so we'll talk about both David Njoku, and then we'll also talk about TJ Hawkinson. On my list,
God, you mentioned his name. There we go.
on
Finally,
my list,
respect.
I have David Njoku. He's going to be an interesting play. He wasn't that good last year. He was kind of a mediocre. You pretty much put him in your lineup and never enjoyed having him there. But I feel like with the addition of these new tools that the Browns get to use, that Njoku could possibly get that bump up. I mean, you're getting him for pretty much nothing, like in the 11th round. And if he doesn't produce within like the couple of weeks, 3 weeks, and you don't see anything special out of him, you can drop him without worrying about anything. So he's kind of one of those guys that you can kind of stash on your bench as a possible breakout and see if Baker decides to start using his tight ends a little bit more. If he does, you got yourself a top 5 tight end if he's starting to get targets. And double covering Odell, and then all of a sudden it leaves Njoku open a lot more.
There's the chance for him to be good. I just don't trust him because of all the weapons. And last year he had his chance, and he didn't. I don't feel like he capitalized on it. I was talking to Tyler before the show, and the main thing that sticks out to me was he was all over all the podcasts, all over. And I mean, ESPN Fantasy Football, I don't even feel like it's credible. You know what I mean? Like, they're not a joke, but it's just like they're so bland. And they had him in also the top 3 for the week, like breakout tight end, and it's Njoku's time, and this and that. And luckily, my opponent had him, and he started him against me. Gave him a fat goose egg, played the whole game, 0. Yeah. And right then and there, I'm like, come on, man. Like, he just got so hyped up like that and threw a goose egg down as supposedly a tight end, elite tight end 1. And like, you know what I mean? Like, no.
Yeah.
So that right there, it's left a sour taste in my mouth.
You know who else, though?
I didn't. Yeah.
Who else had that huge bump up was Trey Burton. Remember when Trey Burton was like the next George Kittle? He was supposed to be like the next big thing for tight end. He was another one that was hyped up that pretty much fell off the rails. And now he's ranked way down in like close to 15. So Trey Burton kind of in that same area as Njoku.
Fell, man. Honestly, where's he going? Where's Trey Burton going? Because it's a guy that I'm going to look for. Honestly, I might take
Trey Burton is in 13, round 13.
Okay, that's what I like. I like grabbing the tight ends there, and I think for the Bears to be successful,
don't even.
No. He needs to play well. Like, they're gonna go to Burton a lot more. They have to. Gase is going to scheme him. They have to. It's going to be him and Cohen, and I mean, they have Allen Robinson, but can you count on him? Dude's been hurt his whole career.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think Trey Burton, there's no way he can do worse than he did last year.
Well,
the quarterback play was terrible last year, and that has to improve. Quarterback play has to improve for the Bears to be successful. Like, it has to.
I agree, and that's kind of how I felt last year too. And Trey Burton was a free agent. So, I don't know. I guess
he got paid big money, though. He was one of the top tight ends.
No, I agree that he got paid.
Tight ends, though.
And I had him on my team. I was one that drafted him and ended up either trading. I traded for him from you, and which would end up being a good trade at the time because I got him for free. But I don't know. He's someone to keep an eye out with. You got Greg Olsen.
About how much do you trust Trubisky, though? Like, seriously, the guy... Yeah. He didn't really prove anything last year. He had some good games. He had some huge fantasy games, but then it was because of his wheels, though. Like, I don't feel like his arm is just... Yeah. His arm has to improve for the Bears to be successful, in my opinion. It just has to take a big leap this year.
Yeah, and I don't see him
as if it does,
some, like,
Trey Burton's going to benefit big time from that. So it's a guy in the 13th round. That's all day.
Yeah, pretty much for free. It's true. You got these guys that are going 13 through 15. You got Trey Burton. You got Rudolph. You got Olsen, Greg Olsen. You got Jason Witten. Ryan, you can draft him in the 15th round.
I don't know.
Got Let's end with you talking about TJ Hawkinson.
My boy,
Detroit.
TJ, the Lions did not take him in the top 10 not to use this guy in all situations. I'm telling you. He's going to be implemented early in the offense. Matt Stafford, I mean, all the players work out and stuff like that, and they say they're in the best shape. But Matt Stafford, I trust him. He says he's the best shape of his career. I have big, my expectations for the Lions this year are good. They're big. They're real big. I think they're better than what they played last year. Patricia is going to have this team ready this time. I mean, last year was a test run. He needed to see what was going on. He knows who he has. He gave his boy Flowers that played under him in New England a huge contract, so that better work out. I'm going to be pretty pissed off. But I feel like just drafting him, 7th overall? Like, he was top 10. They drafted him in the top 10. So Hawkinson, he's their guy. They needed edge rushers. They needed everything on defense. And Patricia's a defensive guy. Unless he literally had no say in this pick, that's the only way Hawkinson could be bad. And that obviously that kind of news hasn't been released, and I don't think it ever will be. But he's a defensive guy. There was plenty of defensive players on the board right there that could change the identity of the Detroit's defense. You know what I mean? And they took a tight end. What does that say? If they don't use him, I'm literally I'm wearing the damn paper bag over my head. Like the old Lions fans forever. Like it's every Sunday I'll wear it.
And I guess it's true that you draft him that early, and maybe you're like looking to form him into your future tight end, but Lions are still in rebuild mode. And
no, chill. It's not necessarily rebuild mode. It's a feel out mode. All right, they're gonna be good this year. Okay. NFC North is tough. This year is gonna be really tough.
It is. There's a lot of good teams in NFC North, and a lot of teams that could come out on top. I mean, the Lions are good. No, I shouldn't say good. Okay, whoa. I'm getting a little ahead of myself here. Lions are okay, and they can win if they have a good
potential
day.
To be pretty good.
So, I guess it's something to keep your eye out for. And as the preseason comes up, we'll keep an eye on Hawkinson and see. I mean, they're going to be hyping him up probably in the press and talking about how they love him and they're going to be using him more. I guess we'll just have to see. Ryan, you can draft him in the 13th round, and
I'm going to try to
and test it out. So that was our top 10. Ryan, you want to read off our top 10 consensus just for everyone listening?
Top 10 consensus. Yes, sir. I got you. It's going to be Travis Kelce, Zach Ertz, Kittle, Howard, Ingram, Henry, Ebron, Cook, McDonald, and Njoku. I just don't like seeing Njoku in there. The guy's talented. Like, he's very talented, but I would just like to see Hawkinson there. Like, just being realistic, I would love to see Hawkinson at 10 right there, but he didn't make it. He didn't make the cut. Tyler, I'm willing to bet you that Hawkinson finishes better than Njoku this year. There's maybe we can talk about it on the next
unfortunately,
show.
I don't want to put any of my chips on Njoku. let me find someone else, and I'll
we can come up with something. I mean, you can take advantage of me being really high on him, and
I could do a Vance versus
off me.
Hawkinson.
See, I don't
take my Steeler man versus your Detroit man.
That's too dangerous. I mean, McDonald's already. I feel like they can be the same type of player. So.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Okay.
I mean, it's not a bad comparison. I mean, Hawkinson's definitely gonna have a better career, but like a play style, maybe McDonald a little, right. Maybe not that crazy stiff arm, something else. But.
All right, let me hit you with these questions now. We're gonna jump. That was our top 10.
All right.
I got 3 questions for you. We can go through them pretty quick. Don't have to give too much on them because we just talked about our running backs, but I just kind of wanted to touch on a few running back. Who would you rather have? Going into the 2019 draft, would you rather have Josh Jacobs or Devontae Freeman?
Devontae Freeman.
And
I just feel that's real easy. I'm taking Freeman.
Okay.
I don't trust Jacobs, man. Devontae Freeman, if healthy, dominant. Even with his injury concerns, I'm taking him.
Nice. Okay. I was going to take Devontae Freeman also just because Josh Jacobs is not we haven't seen much out of him. Of course, he's a rookie, and he's going to a team that is in rebuild mode compared to a high-tempo offense with nobody behind Devontae Freeman. If Freeman stays healthy, I see him just dominating and being a top 10 running back. So moving on to our next one. Who would you rather have? Another rookie here. We got David Montgomery or Kerryon Johnson.
Oh man!
And I mean, this should be a pretty easy one too. I would take Kerryon, and
you got to take Kerryon, but
Montgomery though he could pass him.
Impossible for Montgomery to finish better than Kerryon? No. So it's very possible, but you got to go with. I feel like you got to go Kerryon here, no matter what. I mean, that's my boy too. Like Lions players, I love the Lions. So I'm not necessarily biased, maybe on the Hockenson pick, just because I think deep down I don't want it to be another bust of a pick for Detroit. They could have went defense right there and actually got a stud. So that maybe is making me lean Hockenson with all that stuff. But just like being realistic, you got to take Kerryon Johnson right there.
Yeah, you've seen it from Kerryon. He's a great talent. Coming onto the team when he was drafted, he was a great talent.
He can run, he can catch, he's electric. Montgomery, I feel like he's just going to jump right into the role of Howard over there, of what he had.
Yeah.
I don't know if the guy has – I mean, he probably has a little bit better hands than Howard, but he's going to be used as the bruiser, I feel. And they're not just going to not throw to Cohen. You know what I mean? They're going to throw it to Cohen, and he's going to be the recipient of all the dump-offs and the receptions out of the backfield. Yep. Montgomery probably like under 20 catches on the year, where –
Kerryon could be double that.
Or Kerryon, definitely. I mean, 50 plus, very possible. So,
and I think that's where it wins.
Got to go with that. CJ Anderson's not. I mean, he's gonna get his. The combo of CJ Anderson and Kerryon Johnson is gonna be. I'm actually excited for it. It even helps because Kerryon. I mean, last year he proved that he wasn't as durable. So I know that's his main focus this offseason, and I mean that's what he came out and said. He's working out and trying to get more durable, and he wants to be the lead dog and stuff like that. But and down the road, definitely potential to do so, and maybe even after this season here, once CJ goes, if he has a mediocre year or whatever, I mean, it could hand the full reins to Kerryon Johnson if he proves to be durable. So
and it's
the
nice
safe
to have
pick right there, and the boom pick is still Kerryon Johnson. That's where you got to go.
Yeah, and it's nice to have CJ ready to crack heads with the defense, and then you have Kerryon who's
ball more run in, knock down some pins, and then give it to Kerryon, and there he goes, takes it 70. You know what I mean?
Then David Montgomery, he is exciting. That's why we're comparing him. And if you can pick him up later in the draft, we'll take a look at where he's going. But like Ryan was saying, Cohen is the pass catcher in a PPR league. You want to get that person that's going to get a lot of receptions plus have the carries, and I think Kerryon Johnson just fits that mold. David Montgomery came out, I think he was like a not the fastest guy, he was like a 4.6, and I don't know, Kerryon Johnson's going to be a good running back if he stays healthy. So just like Devontae Freeman, if they stay healthy, they're going to be way better than who they're going up against. So moving on, last one. I got a double here, so I just had the Devontae Freeman one up. So we'll end it with those two running back ones, and we can be done with the show. I'm trying to see if I can find that last question I had. It might have been a rank your top 5 tight ends PPR format, and we just did that for our top 10. Yep. So everyone that listened,
I'm pretty excited. You know the name that does stand out? I know we mentioned him last week. I'm really looking at O.J. Howard, man. I think if he stays healthy, he could be the next big thing at tight end.
Yeah.
I just keep looking at the name, and I'm like, man, I just have a feeling about him. I just have a feeling this is the year. So it's a guy to keep an eye on for sure. Dude's an athletic freak, and sounds like where he's getting drafted as of now is not terrible.
Yeah, we might be pumping him up throughout the rest of the offseason into the preseason. So he might be one of my guys for tight end. But, okay, that'll do it for the rest of the episode then. Make sure, like we said in the beginning of the episode, to follow us. Whatever you're listening to us on, make sure you go in there. Pretty much everything has a subscribe. Everything has a rate and comment. Whatever you're on. I know that we definitely want to push up our iTunes and our iTunes podcast through Apple. So if you are able to go on there and just give us a comment and like, if you're listening on a different one like Stitcher, YouTube, the TuneIn, Pocket Cast, everything like that, if you're able to just jump over to iTunes and just one-up us, plus us, because I know a lot of people listen on iTunes, and if we're able to get our community going on iTunes, then we'll be able to spread out to everybody else, and we'll we'll be able to spread our wings as this podcast gets bigger, websites, Discords. We'll definitely go the whole 9 yards if we get a following for us, and answering questions and going through pretty much anybody that wants to talk to us. We're open. So make sure you follow and listen in. Sure. And then, Ryan, go ahead.
I got another thing for you. I mean, it's pretty hard to make a tight ends ranking thing very exciting. So bear with us on this one. I know it's not the most spicy thing. It's not the running backs, it's not the receivers, but we do have to cover it. We're not going to cover kickers, so don't worry about it, guys. That's something I'm actually looking to remove from the league. I'm going to put it up for vote. I'd rather just go without kickers, honestly. And I think it might be a new way to go. Just like back in the day, it was just standard format, and then all of a sudden someone came up with PPR. So why not start the movement and no kickers?
And next week, Ryan doesn't know, but I already have an exciting episode scheduled. We're gonna do a mock draft. We're gonna do our first fantasy mock draft.
Hell yeah.
I'm debating whether me and him will have our separate teams or we'll draft as one team and go from there. So you'll kind of get our idea. Maybe we'll do 2 separate type of draft strategies on where we are in the draft. Maybe I'll be a early pick with a running back, and Ryan will be the later pick with a wide receiver. And we'll kind of just give you an idea of where we're going at for a mock draft. And I think that'll be exciting. It'll last a long time throughout the hour that we'll probably do it at next week. So stay tuned, and we appreciate you coming in. And go Bucks! I know they lost yesterday, but let's
it was tough.
Let's push through. And the Brewers won, so that was good. And go Wisconsin sports. So thank you for listening, and we will talk to you next week.